Simply Opinionated here, episode 13. Unlucky, or hopefully not. And today I obviously have Simply. But our newest guest is the one and only admin of Unity. One of the admins, JazzyBeeee123.
Hi.
Hi. She is a Minecraft streamer. She does usually Tuesday, Friday, and Saturdays. She has approximately right now, as a current now, 172 followers, and she's 21 years old. So that is pretty solid for that age, and definitely one of the more well, how can I say this? She's definitely more of an outgoing person in terms of her personality. When she helps out, she's always literally there when you need her in Unity, and she's the dog's bollocks. And that is a compliment, by the way.
You.
Yes.
What an intro.
You know what? I'm so good at these. I'm so glad that you gave me. I'm so glad you gave me these responsibilities. It's great.
I mean, I remember you saying you've wanted to do them. I think that's how it went. But okay, sure. I mean, do you remember when I tried them the once and it went terribly wrong? So that's why I don't. Anyway,
this is why I'm permanently reserved for these manners. Anywho, so today we're going to be talking about topics that JazzyBeeee has and ourselves have been talking about premeditation to the podcast. So yeah, one of the main things you wanted to talk about, Jazzy, is something that I know about as well, because I also too suffer from it to a certain degree, is autism. Now, we all know that autism is now, in the modern day, a much more common knowing about. But did you know, fun fact, there's a lot of teachers that trying to be teachers, they found out that only 10% of teachers get taught about how to handle people with autism and dyslexia, which I find shockingly bad. So even though that is very well known in the general public now, not a lot of people know what it's like to be having autism and Asperger's or dyslexia, dyspraxia, or any learning difficulties as well. So, Jazzy, feel free to take the table and tell us all about your experiences.
Yeah, so I mean, I have autism, but it's not like your normal, well, I say normal, it's not your typical like autism that people seem to think that like, when someone says, oh, I've got autism, you think learning difficulties, struggling with this, struggling with that. I don't really have that sort of stuff. I'm more what they call high functioning autistic, which is where I can do a lot of my day-to-day stuff. Like I can do, like, I finished well in education. I was in mainstream education my whole life. And it actually, fun fact, it wasn't actually until I left my education before I headed to college that I got my diagnosis. So I went through school, like all three schools, because obviously when I was in school, it was middle school, unlike today where it's just primary and high school. And I went through all of that without even knowing that I had any autism at all. And we didn't even go to get, not tested, because you're never tested for autism, they evaluate you.
Yes.
So I went, because I suffered, as well as another topic we're going to talk about this evening, anxiety. I had really, really bad anxiety sort of towards the end of my high school experience. So we went in to see a psychologist and a psychiatrist just for that. And they actually picked up on it. So because I can do a lot of like the normal day-to-day things you would do, like go out to work, go to school, cook, clean, just your normal things that everyone does in their daily life. But it's more things that I do, like traits, habits, that put me on the autistic spectrum. Right. So I'm borderline high functioning autistic. So it's not really something that overly affects me, but then in some cases it does affect me as well. So for instance, like socializing, I'm not great at that at all. But that's just me all over. I am a very social person once I'm sort of settled, if you get what I mean. So yes. Once I know someone, I'm very sociable. I like to have a chat. I can talk for England, which I suppose is a good idea for having me on the podcast. But no, it's like it does affect people in different ways, and it's the taboo thing with autism is people have that view. If someone says I have autism, or oh, they have autism, they instantly go to, oh well, they can't do things, we need to keep an eye on them. But it's not generally all that. A lot of autistic people are very, very independent, and I think it's definitely a topic that needs to be put out there, because there's such a discrimination against just the word autism in general, or autistic. And it, like I said, it can affect everyone in so many different ways. And fun fact for you, a lot of people know this actually, so it's not really a fact, but 90%, 99% have some form of autistic trait. Not everyone is on the spectrum in some way, but some more so than others. So that's how some people have like a diagnosis of autism or Asperger's, whereas some people don't. But we all still have tendencies and traits that would be classed as on the spectrum, and it's only those that suffer with it a lot more, or have more of those tendencies and traits, that actually get a diagnosis. And then also it's much more recognizable in men and boys. They tend to show their tendencies and their traits a lot more than what girls do. It's been known that girls actually sort of hide away these tendencies, and that's why a lot of female people don't get their diagnosis until much later in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely an experience, I have to say. It's definitely changed me since I've been given that diagnosis. I mean, I was diagnosed when I think it was just before I turned 16, and I'm now 21. So it's only been about 5 years I've known, but it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense about some of the things that I was sort of... It's one of those things, like, you notice you're doing something and you're like, that's not normal. You're not normal. People don't do that. So, like, for instance, if I'm like cleaning my room or doing housework, I find more often not that I'm actually talking to myself.
Oh my god, I do that. I do that a lot.
I just wander around. I'm like, right, so I've got to do this, and then once I've done that, I'm going to do this.
That's how I generally like organise my day a lot of the time. Or if I'm concentrating on something, I'll actively do that. Right, even though I know I'm doing it, I can't help but do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I was in the car today and I was like thinking of things I've got to get done in the week, and I started speaking out loud, and then my daughter was like, "What are you doing?" It's like, I'm just thinking, but I'm like thinking out loud to myself, because it helps me like organise things in my head, I guess. But,
yeah, definitely.
That's interesting.
And it definitely has an impact on families as well. Now you mentioned your daughter. I mean, I've got my youngest sister. She's similar age to your daughter, and she's definitely picked up on it more so since I was diagnosed. I mean, she was 3 when I was diagnosed, 3 or 4, maybe a little bit younger than 3.
Oh, has she gone? Have we lost Jazzy? Where's she gone?
Jazzy, are you there?
I was gonna anyway. While she's trying to sort her mic out, I didn't realise until the other day that you said, Mr. Opinion, about how is it dyspraxia or dyslexia? I forget which one you said. That's a type of autism, like on some sort of level.
Dyspraxia is
dyspraxia. Is that what it is? Yeah. It's just crazy, because I've had both of those in different variations since like basically primary school. I got diagnosed with both. I think it was like year 4, but it wasn't that wildly, like, people knew about it, but it wasn't. I don't think it was anywhere near like I don't think acceptable is the right word, but like there wasn't like as much research and help with it, I guess, back then in the 90s and stuff. And we probably would have been around the same, in school. But I guess if you were diagnosed in school, you would have had the same issues with it, right? Where it was like people just kind of ignored you with it a little bit. It was only like when I got near high school that there was more help available. But even then, compared to what there is now, I think there's a huge difference in how people get help with like stuff like schoolwork and stuff now. Oh, she's gone. Okay.
I'll try and send it back during this. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, I guess we're going to have to cut this bit out. So.
Yep. Just a tad.
Well, it's okay because we can cut it off at 10 minutes and then we'll just carry on from there, I guess. Oh, bloody hell.
I'll do my own editing as well, to try and help you out. I think you're gonna have to try and edit the middle bits. I can do the front bits, but editing mid is gonna be probably more of your job.
It's not too hard because it was around about 10, 11 minutes, so that's quite easy to remember. It's our internet probably, isn't it, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we have this problem a little while ago? Someone getting booted out? Like, was it one of us? I can't remember.
It was Jess.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. She's back.
And she's back in the room.
Just bloody booted me out. I'm trying to open it on the app because it keeps opening as a link on my phone, so I can't join through the app, and my phone locked and booted me out. So I'm just gonna have to keep on top of tapping on my phone.
All right. Well, again, we can edit this part out. So, okay, Adam, you was talking about your thinking about jigging the school spectrum.
Yeah, I'll carry on for that. Okay, so
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, so I was talking about my experiences with school and stuff. I wanted to get how you dealt with it, because I'm assuming we're not too far different in ages, so I imagine you had the same struggles I did with people not accepting it as much back in the 90s and stuff.
It was a simplicity of they knew about it, but they didn't know how to fully assess the situation with it. I mean, what they did is separate all the people with the special needs, and they really put that in brackets.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it? How they did that? It's crazy.
they put us in our own individual classrooms for the main classrooms, and then obviously when you went out to your actual different lessons, depending how you scored on certain things, like for example, I was the second highest in maths. There was different levels. I was the second highest in my maths, so two of us from the special needs class were in the second highest level, and only one of us was in the highest level, and then the rest of them were at the bottom level, because I think there was about 5 different math groups during that time in my year.
Yeah, there was for us as well. Yeah. Do you not massively demoralising the fact that it's called special needs, and then they're segregating people into, these are the kids who have got problems, which, if they did that now, I mean, I don't know if they do that now in school. I'm hoping they don't, because
I'm assuming they do.
It's horrible. I'm talking from a personal experience. I used to hate it in school. You're already trying to you've already got learning difficulties, and mine affected even the way I walk, because my balance was off and everything else, so I had it quite bad. But as with most of the dyspraxia and dyslexia and stuff, it gets better as you get older, hopefully more often than not.
Do you know what they used to call me? Call us, our actual class group. They called us the units.
That's crazy, man. I can't believe it.
They actually called us the units. So they didn't even. It was literally like World War II Germany, like the Nazis and the Jews. It's like they wouldn't call us by name. They're like, all right, unit.
That's crazy, man. It's like they're basically say, hey, bully these kids, because they're not already having a shit enough time as it is anyway.
Yeah,
that's mad.
And the funny thing is, we were so accustomed to it, we just accepted it. And then over the years, because they grew up in the same years as us, obviously, and they're on different classes, they realised that we're not just a bunch of people that dribble, because that's how they assumed us to be. And I became, after about year 9. From year 9 to year 11, I was treated as a neutral kid. People liked me. Some people, obviously, some people are just gonna take the piss out of you because alpha male is being top of the social ladder or whatever, which is just normal common occurrence. And this is the thing, and people wonder why some people snap. We don't snap because of our disadvantages, but we snap because anyone in that situation as a child would snap, because at the end of the day, you come into the same place every day 5 times a week knowing that you are different. It's very, very well established and you get discriminated for it to a certain level. Like, it was bad in our first year, extremely bad. But like, as people grew, some people grew, and then like they realized that some of us were smarter than the other people because we're in higher classes than them, because we graded higher, and then they were just like, "What are they doing here?" Because I'm smart, motherfucker, in this kind of end, you know.
It's like the whole, like you said about there were people why people snap and stuff. It's like, well, so, you know, you can only take so much bullying and so much, it's like you said, day in day out for like a year, and it's just after like 3 years of that or whatever, you are just going to snap. That's like a natural reaction to it. Like, and it's crazy that I see it now still, like with bullying and stuff. How I still think it isn't like dealt with efficiently enough. In terms of in schools, I mean, like, but
in terms of then knowing about learning difficulties and autism per se, and they are a different category altogether, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that society is starting to see a little bit better. But obviously, we grew up in a time where it was known about, but they didn't fully know how to establish it. So
it wasn't talked about, was it really, as much as it is now either?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Very taboo topic.
Yeah,
exactly. And like to be fair, it's actually nice that Jazzy's here because like there's an age gap between us. You know.
Yeah.
So, Jazzy, if you don't mind, what was your experience like during the system when you was going through school?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really remember too much about my like primary school days.
Of course.
But like middle school, I know we had like a learning support centre. So like a lot of the children that had like learning dis and stuff like that, they would learn their lessons in there. But that was more like a relaxed environment. There was like a little library, there was toys, there was educational things for them to do. But that was more so for the ones that were like, for instance, if someone had autism but they were far further into the spectrum. I do know that when I was in high school, now my high school, I can't say two good words about it. I hated my high school. It was awful. It was than anything. But they had 3 different they were called bands, and they were for your like your education level. So there was like T band, G band, and S band. And then if you weren't fit, like so T band was like top, G was middle, and S was bottom, almost like your normal sort of sets. But they split those into 3 different groups. So you could be like T3, T2, T1. So if you were T1 and you were like one of the smart kids. But if you didn't fit into any of those 3 bands, they actually had a band called Access. And it was for those kids that either didn't want to learn or struggled. So that would be like people with learning dis would be in Access, which I think was really discriminatory. 100%. Like they should have been given chance. I mean, I was friends with a lad in high school before he moved to a different school because of that exact reason.
Yeah.
And he had autism as well, but he was much further on the spectrum, and he was put in Access, but he was so smart, he was so intelligent, but they put him in Access because of his learning difficulties, which I think was completely insane. Like he would have like excelled in the top band. He was amazingly clever. But they separated everyone to their like educate. Obviously, I know a lot of schools do separate you into, if you're good at this lesson, you're in this set, and if you're not good in this lesson, you're in a lower set.
Basically.
Yeah. But to have a category for people with learning difficulties is just beyond inhumane. It's awful. But like I said, like in my high school, not just like for learning dis, but bullying in general was just, it was almost like it was taboo to them. Like they were the perfect educational system, and there was no bullying that happened in their school. They had 0 tolerance. But they didn't. I mean, I went through my fair share of bullying in high school, more so towards the end of my high school experience. It was like really bad, and they done absolutely nothing about it. It got to the point that my mum, who is very sort of, you go to school no matter what, unless you're like on your deathbed pretty much, she actually, because of the severity of bullying, and told them that I wouldn't be going back until they sorted it. And even then it was obviously one of those sort of, when you're 15, 16, you sort of, you don't know much about life. I'd like to think you know everything, but you don't. and I went through different phases and different things, and I was picked on for all of that, and they turned around and they were like, oh, it's just a phase. But like, for instance,
I hate that. I actually hate that. Like,
Yeah,
Fucking
like,
stupid, isn't it?
yeah,
I mean,
it is.
like talking of like bringing in like to bullying and all of that sort of stuff, like the LGBTQ plus community, that's like one of the biggest like group of people that are bullied due to literally what they identify as. And I like personally, I'm bisexual, and obviously I figured that out in high school, and that was what I was mainly bullied for. And I was told it's just a phase, which I think is respectful. And I just think that school systems don't have the education, which is funny because they are an education system, but I think they don't have the education there to support people like that. So they just almost like push it to the side and sort of turn the blame around to be on the victim.
They act like it doesn't exist a lot of the time, I found, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
100%.
So they don't have to deal with the issue.
Yeah, it's almost as if it's not their problem.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's a passing of life where you go for these conflicting emotions and they see what identifies. Like, for example, I thought at one point in my life, and to be fair, I don't know if it was a phase, but I found men attractive, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was a phase or not, but at the time I was convinced I was bisexual. Later on in life, it turned out that I do see men attractive, but never be with one, and I wouldn't do things with a man. I just can appreciate an attractive male.
Okay, it's my chance.
Yeah. Sorry, Adam.
That's
those
DMs.
Damn it.
Those DMs are going to be surely disappointing.
Damn it. But no, that is.
I don't know why I'm even here.
That is like very, very similar to me, Mike. Like I identify as
Been
bisexual.
holding out for months.
I mean, I identify as bisexual, but like I have like when I was a teenager, I was in a relationship with a woman. But now that I'm in my adulthood, I'm in a happy relationship with a bloke, and to be honest, I can like you said, I can appreciate an attractive woman. But I don't think I would ever get back in a relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
Like I still identify as bisexual, but I prefer men, which is a lot of bisexual people do have that. They are bisexual, but they prefer a certain gender. Some prefer women, some prefer men. And it's one of those things that educational systems, they just don't seem to recognise. And there is a few now. Now it's sort of become more of a day-to-day thing, and it's not so much of a taboo subject, that they are identifying and pulling out people for discriminating against people in the LGBTQ plus community with disabilities, and they are sort of starting to release that segregation almost, which is amazing. It's definitely outdated. They need to have done it years ago. But now it's more of a modern world and more of a modern system. They are sort of starting to almost get like kick themselves up the arses, really.
I always found it quite funny in a sense where obviously they have been through stuff, and you gotta think that each generation is either become stubborn to the idea, or the fact that it was much harder. Like, each generation went through certain phases, but obviously it went through a phase where you could do the most minute thing and you'd probably get like slapped, right, in with a ruler. Now that's probably like forbidden to any capacity. But with that, discipline is also replaced. The neglection is still present, which is even more insane. I mean, you can deal with one thing because it's a physical to maybe emotionally to mentally capacity, but neglection can do just as a damaging effects.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't, damage the skin doesn't mean it doesn't affect the mind. So it's like, it's a crazy concept. The fact is that there are some people in the educational world, by the way, I can't stress this enough, because I'll tell you one of my, well, to me, it was embarrassing, but like now I see it as a fundamental part of the fact that there are some teachers or assistant teachers that will go the extra mile, not because it's their job, it's because they want to. I'll give you a classic example. When I was in year 9, So how old are you when you're in year 9? About
Probably
what?
about 13, 14.
14, 13, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I didn't know how to tell the time, and I must have missed a class during my primary school years or whatever, but I didn't, and I was shitting it because when I was in year 8, it became of a common occurrence. I'd usually ask some of my friends to see what time it is, and they ask, "Do you know the time?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." I usually just bullshit an excuse. So I asked one of the assistant teachers, and it hurts my soul that I forgot her name. It actually hurts my soul because she took on her own time. She made her own little mini class between just before classes, like 15-minute mini classes, and she was brilliant. She was absolutely brilliant. I only like went 4 times because I mastered it pretty much the first time, but I came down there the second to fourth time just for reassurance, really. If I'm quite honest with you, she even made these, like, she actually created these like mini like clock things. What is 3 o'clock? What is 6:30? What is 8:45? And like the only part I got truly stuck on was the 8:45 stuff, because I didn't get the concept that it's like, you know, when you say 8:45, you don't see it as 8:45 if you're learning. And like that was the only part I was finding tricky. And then I mastered it, but I only spent the last 3 other sessions, literally just, you know, just telling her, like, you know, just doing these things, and because it was a comfort, and it was so great because not only did it only take her literally 15-minute lesson to tell me how time works, how a clock works. The fact is that she put her time and effort just to do that.
Yeah.
And I have, if other, and I'm sure there are other teachers and assistant teachers or whoever in the education industry goes the extra mile. But it was just one of those rare moments in my time at school where I'm just like, it gave me faith to a certain extent, even though I didn't express it at the time because I was young. But I can still think about that now and think, you know what? Thank God there's people like that still. Despite that, when they were growing up and when they went through when they went to school, it was completely different. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a funny thing to think of, because you would think teachers would have more compassion to a certain extent, but I think
You think they give a shit, yeah.
yeah, you would think that, and some of them do. I'm not denying that, but I think that to a point, they get to the point in their career where they just see it's just a job.
Just faces, isn't it? And they've got the work to set out, they've got to do, the curriculum they've got to meet, targets they've got to reach by a certain date, and they just bang it out and don't really think about it, get lost along the way, I guess.
Yeah.
We had a science teacher that was, I love how this has become just like a reminiscent of school thing now, but anyway, I had a science teacher that was awful because I struggled like terribly with like trying to learn anything at school because my brain just didn't work that way. So I needed it to be. I'm like more of, is it kinetic learner when you do it physically? So like in terms of like science, I had to physically do stuff. I had to pick things up. I was terrible at just reading stuff and writing it and reading it that way. Like I didn't learn it that way at all. And his whole method of science, bearing in mind science is like the one subject probably out of anything, probably next to like what, PE, I guess, that you could do most things physically because you can do experiments and you can do things with like Bunsen burners and stuff. He chose to just have the longest fucking chalkboard and just write fucking equations down. And bear in mind, I was shit with maths and English and everything else because I was already behind because I'd left halfway through year 6, so I'd missed like most of the part of year 6, and then I was trying to catch up as well as having learning difficulties. So it was fucking crazy hard. So he would just sit there. He wouldn't even look at you. He'd face the chalkboard the entire half an hour and just write and write and write. And you'd have to copy it into a book and then read it at home. That was his teaching. I was like, how is anyone? I mean, let alone me. How is anybody meant to learn that way? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And technically, that's not even learning either. You're literally just copying out of a textbook. That's not learning.
No.
Yeah. No. I remember him saying he's put that his boy, if you read it and you can memorize it, then you'll know it for the test. I said, yeah, but then I don't actually know it. I'm just remembering something rather than actually knowing it. It's like,
yeah, the special thing about teaching is their interpretation and showing you an example that makes it easier to digest. That is the whole point of teaching. If you wanted to do that, you should just have a man going into the room, see that textbook, copy, write it down. All right, I'll see you later. You got 45 minutes. Fuck off. You know, like that's not teaching. Teaching is your personality reaching out to the younger generation and expressing how they can learn in an educational environment with some form of a human. That is what teaching is.
And I feel like teachers as well, just trying to find a way to help. If a kid isn't getting it, try and figure out which approach they can come from that will help them learn it, because everybody learns differently. So just doing it one set way isn't going to help every single child in your class. And if you know, you just put that tiny bit of extra effort in and you go, hey, this might actually help them learn something or even enjoy the lesson. And why wouldn't you do that? But there's so many teachers that literally, I can't think of one teacher from my high school that actually gave enough of a shit to try and do it a different way for me, which is why I struggled so much, because I can't think of one teacher that tried to think of different things to do. And the only thing that ever changed was, like you said, where they put you in separate rooms, says, hey, you're the kids who've got the issues, and so, which just does not help your confidence at all.
No.
But which is crazy. And I remember having the one we used to have like mini tests for stuff like because is it not SATs? Is it SATs? I can't remember. I can't remember what these be called
Year
now.
9, I think, is for SATs, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, they had like mini tests throughout the year, and I remember doing it the once. And because, again, like I said, I couldn't. I wasn't a good. I was always a physical learner, so they had I think it was year 10. They had someone sit next to me and ask me the questions, and I told them the answers, and they wrote it down because I knew it in my head. I just couldn't physically put it on paper. So she just asked me to describe it, and I ended up getting like top marks in the entire class, which is crazy. And it was history because I was really good at history, but mentally, like physics, like I struggled writing it, but put it like pen to paper because I just couldn't. I had issues with spelling the words or like wording. I even have that like now. I have a bit of that now. Like you're texting someone and you'll say stuff like in your head out loud, like you mentioned earlier, how you physically say it out loud in your head, and then especially with auto text as well. A lot of the time, it doesn't say anything that you've wanted to say because you typed it out so fast. You're like, that's not what I fucking said. Like it's really weird. I still have that issue now, and I think that's still like a tiny bit of my like. I wouldn't call it a disability because it probably isn't. I'm not that bad anymore, but that's still like that part of it that comes through, and that was the main issue I had at school a lot of time. That's one thing that they never bothered to help me with, other than that one particular time, which I'd wish they'd done the whole way through, because I probably would have done a lot better in school. But that's the 90s for you, I guess. So,
so Jazzy, in a sense, when it comes to it of your autism, what would you say was the most difficult experience in terms of your autism?
Okay, so yeah, like one of the biggest things that affects me mainly, and it's definitely to do with autism, but it's one of those things that comes alongside autism. So if you was to like have a look on research, a lot of people with autism actually, I say come along, they actually find that they develop a lot of other like neurological conditions or like mental health problems. And the one thing I do suffer with a lot is my anxiety, and that is all linked in with my autism. Mm-hmm. So for instance, my anxiety is mainly, so it's I've been diagnosed, it's called specific phobia. So I will focus on one particular thing, and the anxiety side of that will completely spiral. So when that's what I was diagnosed with initially, that's when I went to get my diagnosis for the anxiety, was when I found out with the autism is sort of part and part of that. And I have specific phobia. So mine was thunderstorms, and that was caused by a trauma when I was like 12, I think. And what most people that have like a fear of like thunderstorms, which is a very common fear, it would be like, oh, it's thundering, I need to shut the curtains or put some music on so I don't hear it. But mine would go, there's a dark cloud outside, which means it's going to rain, which means we're going to have a storm, which means it's going to flood, or I'm going to get struck by lightning and I'm going to die. It was extreme. So that's one thing I do struggle with still on a daily basis, but I am going through, like, I'm doing like different therapeutical courses, like coping with anxiety, but that is one thing that completely takes over my day every day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I struggle with.
I mean, like from one thing to another. I mean, the thing I currently struggle with is impulsive behavior. The funny thing is, I was so neutral in the fact I wouldn't say I was quiet, but anytime I was ever upset or angry, it always went into the emotional state of just being upset. There was no anger, it was just upset. Because I never got angry, I just got upset. And then when I grew up as more, I think it was just ramped up even further in terms of like my adulthood. Now, if I'm ever upset, anger will come in first, way first before. And I think, according to my previous therapist a few years ago, it's pent up aggression, which was triggered by many things in my life, and it struck more to the fact that I will say things or do things that are considered a normal to rationalize, which I still suffer from this day. I've tried to improve, but it's a hindrance because I've lost a lot of people, friends, even borderline like family because of it, because of they don't understand. I try to explain. I even apologize, but they're just like they can't handle it, which is fine. You can't argue with that. But like, it's gone to that point where if you can't accept me for who I am, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not a bad person. It's like it's the same. It's like, for example, I know a child that's autistic, part of one of my friend's family, and he will go absolute ape shit, right? From the tiniest of thing, like he won't like a certain color, and he will literally punch like physical objects because he doesn't like a specific color. Like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously that's a different like level, but like it's obviously if someone saw that in normal society, you'd be like, what the
You
fuck?
freak out. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a weird concept, and like at the end of the day, right, a lot of people think they understand. This is the one that makes me laugh the most. People think they understand, but they don't actually know. Like they think that I've heard this in the news, I've seen this in social media, I completely no, you don't. That's kind of like saying that you know what it's like to be black. Like you don't. You know what I mean? Or like a different ethnicity or different like you don't know what it's like to be a woman. You know what I mean? Like it's a.
I mean, I do, but yeah.
Oh, Jazz does. Yeah, we don't.
I want a full report on this, Jazz. I need to know.
I can summarize it in 2 words. It sucks. There we go.
I think I've read that. I think I've read that in the men book somewhere as well.
There's books on these now.
Wait, there's a book? I need a book.
Yeah, it's called Mr. Men. You know, like Mr. Strong, Mr. Happy.
I think that's a different type of book. Because I'd love to meet Mr. Tickle in real life. That's a fucking game.
No.
I'd love to be fair, I'm already like a living pasture of Mr. Lazy, so it's good. But anyway,
Miss Anxiety.
I swear to God, I'm sure there is a little miss, because there's little misses, aren't there now?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a little miss anxiety. I swear that, like honestly.
Little Miss Panic.
Little miss, like.
What is this conversation? I'm just sitting here like I don't know where to go with this.
And I on the subject, back to what we were talking about. I truly believe that, like, my mum, like, for example, my mum thought that I was just behind in terms, because I suffered from, I don't know if you guys ever heard of glue ear.
No.
Okay, so what glue ear is that your ears, like, soon as you're like an infant, are blocked through, like, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but basically they thought I was deaf. But the thing is, it was like this thick mucus substance that was literally just blocking my ear. And then they, like, for apparently one time, the head teacher of my, like, I'd say primary, when I was 3, they diagnosed me with glue ear. And like I said, like the teacher was literally screaming at me, like full on screaming at me to get my attention. And I was just there, apparently playing with the toys, not giving a single fuck. And then they got rid of the glue ear, and I was fine. But my mom initially thought that the reason that I was behind was because the fact is I couldn't hear anyone. But then she found out I actually did have learning difficulties, which was like it wasn't even easy. It wasn't easier. So yeah, it's weird that people need to know more of this stuff because I've never known anyone else to suffer from glue ear. I've never known anyone else to suffer from looking at a certain color makes them lose their shit. Like it's almost incredible how much we don't know, even though that there's far more better treatment for it. And God forbid that, like, I hope that people don't treat it as like, oh, it's not a big deal because if you don't have it, then you ain't got an opinion. So fuck off. So yeah, it's kind of weird though because like it just affects your like modern day life. But I feel like it's more it defines who you are to a certain extent. Not because people realize you're the person with this, but I think it creates a certain like uniqueness within you where because like my cousins have got a bit much more severe autism than I do. I know people that have struggled with bipolar. I know people that have gone to the point where they think they're so abnormal that they've considered, the S word. And it's crazy that they're still here, they're still breathing, they're still being them,
Yeah.
And I think that's admirable, considering the fact of people are still so like self-absorbed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I would say definitely a lot of people just need to be more aware and understand what it is because you know how like people talk about like depression and anxiety,
Yeah.
and that's become like, yeah, you can do this. We're here to talk, and that is important. I'm not stressing because I'm one of those people as well. That is very true, and I'm glad that some people are taking their time out there just to even talk to
Yeah.
even strangers that suffer from it. But I feel like sometimes on the autistic spectrum now, it's become, I wouldn't say a normality, but it's kind of like, it's not going to be easy, but we're not going to make a shout out about it,
Yeah.
which is a shame. But like, how do you feel now as an adult, Jazzy? Are things improved in your set piece, or are things still like samey when you was younger?
I think now that I'm an adult, it's definitely different. Like you think back to when I was like 15 and I was first diagnosed, the only thing I really had to worry about was like GCSEs and when I could go and see my friends. But now that I'm like into adulthood, you've got to think of things like bills to pay, going to work. Some people, I mean, a lot more now. There are a lot of more people my age that have got children. So who's going to have the children? And it's definitely one of those things that as you age, it has different factors that you then have to reconsider. It's the change, and I know that there's a lot of thing obviously out there that autistic people don't like change, and it's not necessarily just that. It's changes, but then again, in some instances, if someone's got severe autism and they're very like into the spectrum, something as minute as moving a book that they've got on their table, that small change could mean the world to them. Like it's awful. So definitely going on into adulthood, it has changed a lot of things, as it does for everyone, but it hasn't affected. I think obviously where the social aspect of things comes into play, working is quite hard. I mean, I have had a solid job. At the moment, I'm not working. I mean, to be honest, Twitch is my job. But I know I will have to go back into work as soon as I can. Obviously, at the moment, COVID has sort of taken over that job possibility. But once things are sort of a little bit more back to normal, then I know I will be going back to work. And it's definitely a like with the social side of things, it is a lot harder because it is people that you have to see 3, 4, 5 times a day, like 5 times a week, and it's definitely hard, especially going into, like, for instance, going into a new job. It's difficult learning to trust people. I think that's the one thing I struggle with, is the trust side of things.
Yeah.
I don't trust people, and that is obviously as well to do with one of my previous jobs, where you could try and say something in confidence, and within an hour it'd be spread around the entire site. So it's definitely a trust sort of thing. Like, meeting new people is really hard, but once I've gained that, I know who they are, I can trust that person, they are nice, that's when I'm more sociable. So it has affected me in different ways, but then it affects everyone in different ways as you age. So it's one thing for one person like myself, but then for someone else, adulthood is scary.
How do you feel that's affected you in terms of like streaming and stuff? Because you said about meeting new people that it's difficult, and how do you deal with that when it comes to streaming?
I think with streaming, it's a bit different. I mean, if I was like, obviously at the moment I'm a faceless streamer. I say faceless. My face is out there on my
I don't have a
Instagram.
face.
I don't have a face.
She's faceless, Giles.
But like, it's like, I posted a picture of myself on Instagram. It's definitely easier, I'd like to say, when I don't have a camera, because I'm not having to actually see these, well, I don't see the people, but they see me in a sense.
Yeah.
But obviously I do eventually want to do like face cam and everything on my streams, but I think without that camera side of things, it is a lot easier.
Do you feel it's helping you get your? Do you feel like it's helping you get your confidence just in general with that issue?
Definitely. I mean, I've met so many amazing people through Twitch. Like, I mean, I know like Jess, who was on the podcast a couple of episodes ago. I didn't meet her through Twitch, but we had a common bond over streaming, and that's where our sort of friendship really, really developed. And then obviously, for instance, I met, like yourself, Simply, I met you through streaming.
Yeah. And I'm fucking awesome, so.
I met Mike, yeah, exactly. I met Mike through streaming. I've met so many amazing people like Emmy, Kate, Kemi, like everyone, and obviously Discord has helped with that as well, that side of things. But just meeting all these people and actually having some sort of common grounds, in a sense, has definitely helped. But I think, like, with the streaming side of things, it's a lot easier without a camera, but I do want to sort of push that forward and do have a camera, because I think that would definitely help.
It will help. It will help in terms in the fact that a lot of people, like, you can create a following just for streaming in general, but if you want to get the extra, because there are literally only people that will literally only watch people if they do have a camera.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of people like to put to put the voice to the face.
And one thing I do find with that, like you said, with people prefer people with a camera, is, like, for instance, raids. You find a lot of people will only raid people with a face cam because they like to see that reaction of, oh my god, I've been raided. But like, with, for instance, like myself and Jess, if we get a raid, you can hear it in our voices, but it's so much better with that camera side of things, which does definitely have its downfalls, obviously, because you don't get the experience as much as what people with face cams do. So that does set you back a little bit. But I mean, even you can hear in my voice if you watch one of my streams, I'll try and make conversation, but you can hear, I can't put the words together. So there is a ton of VODs on my channel where I'm just a stuttering mess. And it is, honestly, I have to say, it's one of the best parts of my streams, where I'm trying to say something and I'm like, English.
And that's to do with your, like, the issue you have with it in terms of...
Yeah, I think that's more the social aspect side of things of my autism. I struggle to make that conversation. Like, if someone was actually there, like if I was to do a solo stream, which I do quite a lot, I find that if I've not got someone there to chat with, I'm not very chatty. Whereas, I mean, you look at one of my Minecraft streams where I'm playing by myself, and then you look at, for instance, one of your, simply, like the DBD stream we done last week, I just wouldn't stop talking. I was Farmer Jazz in that stream. Do
you find you like feed off of people's energy quite a lot of the time?
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think, because I've always wondered if that's like a part of it.
I,
So
I feel personally that is more to the fact that you're just so excited to be a part of a community rather than I to be fair, like a lot of people are just like, oh my god, this is so great because especially the fact that I've always noticed that especially for the people I play with, so people that do stream, right, but they're not streaming but with you have more energy and have more
100%.
leniency in a sense. I've noticed that, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
I wonder if you would act like that if you did it on an amnesia.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm being targeted.
No, not at all, sweetheart.
Sweetheart.
I love when he calls me sweetheart, but he's just crushed my dreams earlier because he's not interested in me anymore. So he can shut his face.
I mean, I'll keep the pictures.
No, it's too late for that now. It's over. Chuck me aside.
It's too late to apologize.
Oh God, please don't attempt to sing. Attempt being the key word there.
Oh God.
Anyway,
But
yeah.
like another side, like the whole streaming side of things, is I find, like, for instance, if you had like a stream where you had like 10 viewers, like for instance myself, 10 viewers is an amazing number. Sometimes I'll have 10 viewers, which is a really, really good stream for myself, but sometimes I'll get like 3 viewers, or there'll be the odd time where maybe someone else is doing like a subathon that I'm part of the same community of, or someone's doing some sort of stream that a lot of people want to get involved in. Or for instance, a couple of weeks ago when the World Cup, not World Cup, bloody hell, the Euros were on, like streaming on those days where people have got other things to be doing, I'll sometimes get like 1 viewer on a stream, which is like, to anyone that can be really, really disheartening. But I think that with the autistic side of things in myself, that's like I instantly go to, what am I doing wrong? Why are people not coming in? Why are people not watching? Not, oh, well, maybe they're doing this, maybe doing that.
I think people have that in general, don't they, with Twitch a lot of the
Yeah.
time.
Oh
So,
yeah, I get that. I can surely assure you, Jazz, that at least 95% of people that haven't reached even the 1K barrier feel exactly that, and I felt like that not so long ago, because then you think to yourself like, what am I doing that's not correct? What have I done wrong? Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
100%.
and I guess you could argue that could be just paranoia, technically, like on a spectrum. But I can understand why, like, I could completely 100% understand why you would think of it in that other idea, because I've seen other people that literally do not care if they only have like one viewer.
You see a lot of people out there, like, I mean, a lot of Twitch groups on like Facebook, and people are like newer streamers who have like recently hit affiliate. They're like, what do you do when you're having a bad like viewer day? And a lot of people say turn your viewer count off. But I think there's 2 reasons why I struggle with that as well. One is I have to know how many people are in there, otherwise I sort of get that overwhelming anxiety of, oh my god, how many people are watching me or who's not watching me. But then also, one thing about being a console streamer is, on Xbox, I don't know about PlayStation because obviously I don't have a PlayStation, but when you stream on Xbox, you have your live bar, and that
you can't turn it off.
And you can't turn it off. So it doesn't matter if you have it turned off on whatever you're managing your stream on. For instance, I'll stream on my Xbox, but I have it managing on my laptop. But I can turn it off on my laptop, that's fine, but I'm still watching my Xbox on my TV screen to play, and I still see that viewer count. So
it doesn't help that that's progressive as well, that live bar.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
instant, so someone could have been sat there, or 3 people, say it's telling you there's only 1 person on that little bar, but in fact there's 3 people there, and by the time it's actually updated, they've already gone because you haven't acknowledged them. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Oh god, it is terrible. Like, streaming on console is literally the worst, because like it's great that it's capable of doing it, but you're completely buggered when, like, for example, on the PlayStation, if it's like the game's like has a meltdown or something, and you get blue screened, and you have to stop the stream. It's not like you can get it on the capture card. So you're like, okay, guys, I'm just restarting the game. Like, it can't work like that. You literally have to restart the entire stream.
Yeah.
Which is completely ball-like.
with like Xbox, speaking from personal experience, like I use like rechargeable batteries in my controller, but if I need to charge my controller batteries or change the batteries over, it will end my stream. Or for instance, I was struggling with my old microphone before I got a new headset. It would make random noises, and normally, like anyone, you would unplug your microphone and plug it back in. But just doing that simple action, it recognises there's no microphone, you're not streaming, it will turn it off. So it's like really difficult. And then I don't know about PlayStation, but with Xbox, like if you wanted to do face cam on Xbox, you have to have like a Microsoft recognised webcam.
Oh, that is the most stupid
Which is, like,
thing.
bullshit.
It's so
Like,
the way
it's
it is
awful.
with Xbox, Xbox doesn't allow any like outside different mics other than headsets, and PlayStation doesn't allow any other camera other than PlayStation's own camera.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like, I mean, I've got a really good webcam. I mean, you've both seen I've got a fully set up like podcast microphone, but I can't use that to stream because my laptop cannot handle like screen sharing the Xbox screen and using my microphone. It just cannot handle it, and that's also obviously my Wi-Fi is awful. So just even sometimes, like, I used to be a variety streamer, as you guys know. I used to stream like Dead by Daylight and Fortnite, but my Wi-Fi is so awful. I've literally gone to being a Minecraft streamer. But in a sense, that's sort of, it has its flaws, but then I enjoy Minecraft a lot more, and that's sort of like my happy place. So, and it was actually simply that helped me come to sort of that decision of becoming just like a full-time Minecraft streamer, because I've got much more knowledge in that game. I'm much better at that game, and things like Ark and Fortnite and all like Dead by Daylight, they are good games and I do enjoy them, but I find more often than not I sort of fall out of love with them after a little while, whereas Minecraft's always been, I mean, I've been playing Minecraft since I was 13, so that's coming up to like 8 years. So it's always going to be that go-to game. If I'm bored, I'll load up Minecraft. So definitely going to being a full-time Minecraft streamer has changed things. And especially, like, I mean, you look at the big-time Minecraft streamers at the moment, like Dream and Tommy in it, and like Tommy in it's 17, and he sat top like viewers on Twitch, which, like, full of respect to the lad, like, that's amazing. But like, you see them, they've got like PC Minecraft, which is a lot better than like console Minecraft. You've got a lot more you can do on PC. It definitely hinders what I can do, but I still enjoy it. Like, I have PC Minecraft and it's amazing. So is Xbox Minecraft. But the one thing that a lot of people with like PC Minecraft can do, like mods, that's one of the big things that we, like, all of us on the Xbox, we've got like a whole load of us in Unity that are on Xbox. And a lot of, like, for instance, yourself, Simply, stop playing Minecraft because we are hindered so far behind with,
It
like,
doesn't
mods.
have. It just needs content,
and
that's the only reason Minecraft is still around. I think since it came out all them years ago, is because of the modding community.
Yeah. Whereas
and
like Xbox, you're stuck to like vanilla Minecraft. Like,
yeah,
you cannot do
I know.
anything.
I really don't understand, as a company, Microsoft quite easily could add mods in if they wanted to. They just choose not to. Like, they've been saying for the last like 2 years we was going to get shaders, and where the fuck are they? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, this new update they've brought out, the Caves and Cliffs update, that is amazing. That's definitely changed 100%. Like, the new biomes, the new caves, that's amazing. But it's still not got that aspect of mods. Like, that changes the whole thing. And I mean, in argument's sake, you could say, well, we do have mashup packs, which are in a way implementing mods, but they're not the same. Like, for instance, myself, Jess, and Ron, we all have like a huge city we've built on Minecraft, and things we could add to that, like shops and vehicles. There are mashup packs for that, like modern furniture, all of that sort of stuff. There is mashup packs on the marketplace for that, but you cannot actually implement them into your own world. You have to use the world that's provided.
Yeah, I don't like that feature. If you could implement it, that'd be so much better. It'd be worth buying them. But yeah,
like things like quarries and stuff like that, like things that make the game more enjoyable. Like, it's all right playing normal Minecraft, like survival and creative, but adding things like quarries, vehicles, furniture, it definitely would improve the game so much more. But the thing that we're limited to, it just makes it really sucky. And you'll find more often than not, my streams go from either playing in survival when I've got something to do. For instance, we have a realm over on our Minecraft servers, so we use that realm. but at the moment there's nothing we can really do on there. So I find more often than not that I'm either playing adventure maps or playing on servers, which can become really, really boring. So it's definitely hindered us over on consoles. But like PC Minecraft streamers, they've got so much more they can do, and it's so interesting. Like, I'd love to be able to play some mods.
It's actually funny that there's actually a lot of games out there that are just like Minecraft, and you can arguably say that they're better. But the problem is, like for example, Portal Knight, which I found out, which is actually a pretty sweet game, but no one knows about it because it's like Minecraft is Minecraft. Like it did something so simple yet so complicated, and it fit the niche in between certain things. And when you got creative mode kicking in, it just mind boggles. I mean, like when I'm doing the Wither challenge that I've been doing, like I know people that know how to use redstone to its fullest capacity, and the best thing I can do with it is like, oh look, this door opens when I go on a slab.
Yeah,
I could have just pressed the square button anyway. So like it's it's so weird to know that like the Bedrock edition, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, it's still fun, but like obviously, like you said, the PC versions of these things, it's what you call practically unlimited potential.
yeah,
Which is which is insane to think about. I mean, I enjoy the challenges of the in-game concepts. I mean, I'll make a house or make a castle or do whatever. I want to build something with the limited resources that I have, and then do something like kill the Ender Dragon or fight the Wither. And I'd enjoy doing that because I used to watch the Hardcore series, which is basically you get one life, and
one
if you're
life.
dead, you're out. And I loved that. I loved that kind of Minecraft, and they did it in such a way where obviously there were 7 people. They had an objective. If they did it, they did it. If they didn't, it's a fail. And then they did make multiple series of it, which I highly recommend, by the way, watching because it's absolutely hilarious and it's quite intense. Knowing the fact is, as soon as you die, you're gone. Like you can't even say goodbye to people. You're gone. And and it was such a good series to watch. It was on the Peanut Butter Gamers on YouTube, by the way. If you are interested in that, very very fun. Anyway, but like yeah, it's so strange that you try and make your own way into a Minecraft thing. Like I've made communities, I've did like little personal challenges, and it's satisfying to a degree. But you know, at the end of the day, that and it comes to this whole camera slash personality thing where you have to engage an audience and absorb them into what you're doing, because otherwise it's just going to be another regular Minecraft session, I guess, to
Yeah,
a certain degree. And like anyone can do that, like not saying it's a bad thing or anything, because some people just don't care about the viewership, but like just want to show off their experiences to a certain extent. And it's funny because like I enjoy many games, but like I sometimes even if I'm even like, shall I do this, shall I do that, and it gets to a point where you start questioning yourself. Like for example, I was very confident doing the Batman Arkham Asylum series, which I was, and I still am, but I did the first 2 episodes, and then by the time I finished my second episode, I was just like, I'm near the end. No one's going to bother watching this for 2 hours. I was like, what's the point? So I've actually held that back for so long because I knew that it was not going to last that long. And I don't think people are going to stay for me hunting the Riddler trophies, you know what I mean? So it's like, you get these kind of things where an online game is far more successful than a solo game, depending on what it is, unless it's the horror genre, which has a slightly more better niche. Um, but it's crazy because a lot of people was just like, oh, you just load up your game and you play, but it's a lot more. There's a lot more uncertainty to it, to the actual person that's going to stream it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's hard, even
Yeah.
though you enjoy it, and some of those fears go away when it shit gets good, but you always have that little thing at the back of your head, like, what if? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and always having to try and find a way to engage everyone. Like, for
This is
instance,
why Mike was just saying that horrors are normally easier to do. That's why I just do horror stuff, because the natural reaction to what's going on is normally more entertaining than when I play other online stuff
yeah,
or games that aren't horrors. Like, I'd love to like stream. Oh, I've streamed different Fallout games, which I'm obsessed with, but I find myself getting too engrossed in what I'm doing and then just ignoring the chat, or I feel like I'm not entertaining enough. Whereas I'm playing a horror, just the reactions alone of me being scared a lot of the time are more funny than if I do
yeah,
something different.
yeah,
So,
100%.
so it's crazy to think that, even after all this time, I've been doing this kind of stuff for years now. I started on YouTube, and now I moved on to Twitch for streaming purposes only. And sometimes I feel like I could go back to YouTube and stream on YouTube. At the same time, it makes me even more paranoid, because I think if I neglect Twitch that much, it's going to go through the same process that my YouTube channel is going through at the moment. And it's like it's hard to like absorb, because like you have to make difficult decisions. I don't know, like there's some people that literally couldn't care, and they just do it for fun, and that's fine. But the reality is, for example, I've actually made a lot of money from both channels.
Yeah,
And like I know money's not everything, and it's a final minute point, but in the position that I'm in at the moment, it's nice. It's nice to have, at least, and definitely for someone that wants to be that comfortable in the industry, you want to at least see uh what you've accomplished with your community, your
yeah, like have
core, and how
It's
it's.
go for what you've done.
This is a problem that people have with streaming and stuff. It's okay to earn money. It's okay to want to earn money from it, because if you're taking it seriously enough, you get to a certain level where you need to consider that stuff, because that's the only way you're going to continue to grow, because you're going to have to do it longer. You're going to have to get better equipment, which requires money, and people don't seem to realize that a lot of the time. Like,
Yeah,
where do people just think they just shit out like £3,000 PC setups for people to do all this crazy streams that they do with all the best cameras and stuff? This stuff requires money a lot, and sometimes it requires support from your audience, which obviously isn't mandatory. But and people want to offer that help, that's great. You shouldn't
yeah,
feel like a piece of
exactly.
shit just for accepting it. And a lot of people put that as like a bad thing, and I think it's really like a big issue with like Twitch and stuff, and like Patreons and stuff like that. People like look down on it a lot of the time, but it's one of like the best ways to help.
And
Yeah,
And
100%.
and not a lot of people had the process of mommy and daddy, like did helping with that shit. You know what I mean? Some people started from the
yeah,
ground up, from ground zero, and I think a lot of people don't realize, like, but they don't think about it that way, because they're just there to be entertained. They're then there to have a good time. They don't think about that ratification, which they shouldn't think of that ratification to a certain degree, and like, which is completely 100% understandable. But there's some people that don't realize that one of your favorite content creators probably had a good start, because again, mommy and daddy got them all that stuff, and they didn't have to lift a finger. Does that mean they are better? Does that mean they should be rewarded even furthermore? It's all these things that, even though it's not really important, like at the end
It
of the
still
day,
matters. Yeah,
yeah, it's still like a thing to consider, because at the end of the day, there's not a lot of people that were brought up in that certain scenario.
yeah,
And there's
exactly.
and there's again, if it comes to when coming to the autistic, or even with the anxiety, which are two different separate things that can still collide. I know a lot of people that suffer from autism that stream, and they literally get so frustrated because they analyze, a situation. And that's totally understandable. Yeah, like a person that doesn't suffer from any of these conditions can be like, okay, so what, this one was a bad one, doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
100%.
and like, people need to realize that even though that we're there to entertain and we enjoy it, that's the reason why we do it, there's a human being on the other side.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean,
So
when I first started Twitch, I started Twitch at the end of last year. I literally would stream off of my Xbox and manage on my phone. And then I got a hand-me-down laptop from a friend, which was usable, but wasn't great. And I've only just recently got a somewhat decent laptop to manage my stream off of, but yet still it's not enough to be able to do things like face cam, sound alert. Even sound alerts is not great. I can't even do overlays. It's awful, and there's always a struggle behind everyone, and I think that a lot of people don't recognize that. Everyone always has their own battles. And
it's the different levels of it, isn't it, that people don't understand until they get to that level of it themselves. Like Mike said, people that do it for fun won't have that issue, because if they don't want to get further with it, then they won't have to deal with that problems. But if someone like, well, us, all three of us, want to get as better every time you do it, essentially, and see progression in it, you're going to have to fork out quite a bit of money for this sort of stuff. Or even just on like the technical side of learning new stuff as well, like learning how to do the OBS, learning how to do lighting, how to do correct audio, even something down to just like learning how to promote yourself better, or be more self-aware, and especially with someone like who suffers from massive anxiety and all the rest of it, learning how to present yourself in a way that's inviting and fun to watch, as well as not freaking on the inside at the same time. Must be like a whole other challenge in itself, we wouldn't think of.
Like, I reckon out of the three of us, I've literally buggered up the most in terms of me losing my shit. And I have lost my shit on a live stream. And I feel nothing more than embarrassment for it. Like, and like, you can almost argue it's their fault, it's your fault, whatever. At the end of the day, when it comes to a streaming premise, it all comes down to you. And the fact is how you handle a situation. And there's been plenty of times where I've not handled the situation well, and to be fair, borderline awful. And like, and this is what you gotta remember: it's like some people will remember that. Some people will actually remember you being a negative rather than a positive, which is even worse, considering the fact that that even go to certain measurements to they'll remember you for that negativity. And you think to yourself, I really wish that someone would remember you so much of the positivity rather than the negativity. But that's the thing, that's how it goes, though. And it hurts. And the worst part is that even if you had a perfectly good, valid reason, it'll never be enough.
I think with that as well, like, a lot of people, and not just with streaming, in general, people pick up more on the negatives than the positives. So you could do a million things right, but one slip up and everyone will remember you for that slip up. So a lot of people, it's one of those things that you could do so many amazing streams, but one stream you lose your rag, and that's it. That's what people will remember you for. So you have to be so careful. But like, as well, it's not like people that work as Twitch streamers, people that are on the partner program that are making a living out of streaming, like, hands up to them. That's like one of my dreams. I would love to be able to make a living just from streaming, but it's one of those things that you're streaming from your own home. I mean, yes, some people work in an office to stream, some people have their own studio to stream, but a lot of the smaller streamers like ourselves, the smaller streamers, we are streaming from our own homes. This is our comfortable place. So to lose our rags, a lot of people would say, well, you're at work, you're in the workplace, but that workplace is your home. So if you want to lose your tether, yes, I suppose in a sense, in the other hand, doing that whilst on stream is not great. Again, it's a negative that people will see. But I mean, again, it's one of those things that this is your home. So if you wanted to lose your tether, you could, because that is your comfortable place. But it's just that sort of time and place thing that it's really hard. I mean, there's been times where I've streamed and I've not been feeling it, and I've always said to myself, if I'm not feeling the stream, I'm not going to do it, because it's going to hinder how I'm streaming, and people won't want to see me all sad and not.
That's exactly. I was just about to say that. Like, if I never used to listen to it myself as much, but like over the last like 4 months or so, every time I've come to do a stream, and like you just said, if I'm not feeling up to it, I just don't do it, because when I have done it anyway, it's been terrible, because
Yeah.
your vibe comes across even if you don't think it does.
Yeah.
You can tell the
it
difference
affects
with
your
someone who's
aura.
yeah, exactly. You can tell the difference between someone who's naturally happy and high energy to someone who just can't be asked to be there, and they're not putting any effort in, and they're not
Yeah,
feeling
like,
it or whatever.
I mean, you look at the past 2 weeks, my stream, like my Twitch hasn't been as active as I would have liked it to have been. But I know that I needed that break. I needed that break in routine.
Yeah,
because
breaks are important.
It sort of got to the point where it was like a Tuesday would come around and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to stream tonight. And it's not that, oh, I'm streaming tonight, not that energy.
Yeah, it shouldn't feel like that, should it? If you're feeling
No.
like that, I personally just wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And if it's feeling like that for a long period of time, maybe it's not for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you look at Ron. We were all sort of progressing with like hitting affiliate, and Ron was obviously still on that same route. I mean, me, Jess, and Ron, we all started streaming at the exact same time, and Ron just felt like that progression wasn't there, and it almost felt like he was forcing himself. So he decided that Twitch just wasn't for him. He still joins in all of our streams, which is amazing. We love having him over in the streams, but he just decided that actually streaming it himself just wasn't for him, and it isn't for everyone. Like, you can
no,
be a gamer but not stream. Like,
it takes a lot of effort, and I don't think people seem to realise. They think, like Mike says this a lot, that people just think you put the game on, you switch your camera on, and that's it. People don't see the hours of edits that you do after, all the changes that you have to do to your channel, or the promotion, or the amount of work that building a community, the amount of time that goes into those couple of hours on stream beforehand and after the fact is like, it's a lot of fucking effort, in terms of as well, because especially because Twitch just doesn't have an algorithm, that it just doesn't exist. So you have to be posting on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter. All that stuff combined just can literally wear you out before we even started the stream that day. And it's just like, and I think people get so like caught up on wanting to make Twitch their thing, even if it isn't, because everyone wants that magical dream life of, I can just stream and play games and earn loads of money and I'll be famous and all the rest of it. When it's like, there's so much more effort that goes into it before you get to that level. But
it's even more like irritating. The fact is that there's a lot of people that half-ass it but are successful because there are certain attributes about them, which is annoying as fuck. But like, but even if you have an opinion these days when it comes to the streaming services, people will ridicule you for it, because like at the end of the day, like I love how this is actually looking at me in the face right now. The hot tub stream.
Oh God!
Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says, and you can call me a dickhead or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you was naturally born with attributes that naturally help you in a certain scenario, like streaming and stuff, and they had the personality of a piece of dog shit, and are more successful because they have certain attributes, I don't give a fuck what you say. You're stupid, because like. I'd rather have someone that entertains me because they're intelligent, they're entertaining, and they have an actual personality, not a fucking Barbie doll in water.
Do you know what really annoys me about that subject? I mean, for one, just to jump on what you were saying, unfortunately, and this applies to literally any advert that you see in TV, attractiveness sells.
Yeah.
That's just a thing of life. It's shit. It's not fair. That's how it is.
Yeah, I know.
But on top of that, what annoys me with that side of it is not the fact that it exists, because people can do what the fuck they want. Do you know what I mean? People can watch and pay for whatever they want. It's free world. It's the fact that Twitch hasn't fixed glaring DMCA strike issues yet, but took the time to make a separate section for that rather than just removing it. Like, people complained about these, in brackets, hot tub streamers. People are like, this isn't what Twitch was designed for. It's, whatever. And who's to say what it was designed for? Because you can stream what the fuck you like. Do you know what I mean? There's an audience for everything. But they made a separate section for that so damn quickly because it's making them so much money. But they won't fix the massive issue that's getting loads of people's accounts banned because they haven't put the steps in place to sort this music issue out. even though it's been a massive issue for so fucking long. And YouTube fixed it years ago, and they still haven't fixed it yet. Oh, we'll put a section in for hot tub streamers because that's making us money. It's like, come on. Like,
it's not. This is the worst part of it is. It's not like we don't say this out of jealousy. We're not even saying this out of jealousy. It's literally because I'm personally not
I'll jump in a hot tub.
people. I mean, if I was in their situation, like if I was, had that body, had all that stuff or whatever. But the fact of the matter is, right, I'll have dignity.
Yeah.
These people do not have dignity, whatsoever, and there'll be a lot of those like white knights or the SIMP word, because you can't say that anywhere now because they start crying if you do. And it's just like it makes you laugh because because it's true. They don't even talk to their audience. They talk about themselves. They're so narcissistic. And they're just so, oh, well, it's me. And then you got people like, why do you care so much? Why do you get jealous for? It's just like the fact we're jealous. It's the fact is that I can guarantee you, I could have an hour conversation with you that is guaranteed, proper engaging, rather than 2 minutes with the bimbo. And you're too busy staring at her fucking breasticles, and it's just like, what is the difference? Again, it's not jealousy. I can't stress that enough. But it's just the fact is that we actually are human. I don't think these people, because you wouldn't have that scenario ever happen to you. It's like a virgin's wet dream, but on a camera.
I mean, that's one way to
I mean, that took a turn, didn't it?
Definitely. But I mean, also, with going on to the topic of hot tub streamers, I think as well, Twitch, for some people, Twitch is forever. But I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to get older. People are going to lose interest, and it's not always a full-time job. Some people are going to have to go and get another job eventually. And
imagine when they get saggy.
Fucking hell, man. Jesus Christ. Do you know, this is another instance. This happens a lot on this podcast where I think to myself, please don't say this. And then he instantly says it.
Oh my God.
Continue, Jazzy, sorry.
It's all right. It's like, you look at, for instance, let's say a hot tub streamer done hot tub streaming for 5 years.
Fucking saggy, man.
But if they've done hot tub streaming, they could make a living out of that for 5 years. Full respect to them if you're able to do it. Like this quote says, if you've got it, flaunt it. Go ahead. That's what you want to do. That's your life. That's your decision. Sure, but that 5 year gap in your employment. If a new employer wants to know what you've done in that 5 year gap where you weren't employed. You're you could say.
Ask us what you've been doing. She's like,
It's you could say I was a Twitch streamer, but there's always going to be that aspect of curiosity, and it's going to be well, what did you stream on Twitch? And then they're sort of they're stuck.
My breasts.
I got my tits out.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's sure, go ahead if you want to do it. Go ahead and do it. But have to think about your future and how it's going to affect you. What if there was let's say a 20-year-old woman as a hot tub streamer, which there probably is multiple 20-year-old hot tub streamers. But you look 10 years down the line, if they've got kids, what do you do, Mummy?
This is the thing, isn't it? Yeah, because if it's on the internet, it's there forever, which is the problem.
Yeah. And you've got all those. I don't like to use this word, but you've got all those freaks out there.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether you heard. There's a streamer on Twitch at the moment called Opinionated. She's got Tourette's.
Yeah, she's got Tourette's.
Really,
yeah,
really lovely. But she went through I don't know whether it's still happening, but she went through a while where there was people going onto her streams and just waiting for her to stand up off of her chair so they could clip her ass. And it's really,
I remember that.
It's pathetic.
To the point where if she stood up, she would have to sidestep out of frame because people were so obsessed with clipping her backside that it was becoming an issue for her. She wasn't even walking away like myself or you guys, where you could just stand up and walk off without that worry. She was having to sort of second guess how she was walking out of frame because people would be on the ball clipping her backside. And I think it's just really creepy. And like, have some respect. Like, Twitch even tells the streamer who's clipped it, so she can see the same people clipping her backside, and it's just really creepy. Like, why would you want that picture of yourself? What do? I clip women's asses on Twitch. It's really freaky, and you don't know what they're doing with that.
Exactly,
like,
dude. Exactly.
It's a good clip, though.
Oh my god. You know, the best part is, though, like, I know a lot of people will probably be listening to this podcast and thinking, he's being stereotypical and whatever. But the thing is, I actually follow quite a few cosplayers, like, on Twitter, and some of them I do, like,
for science.
Yeah, obviously. And then, like, and I watch some of them on Twitch to give them a benefit of a doubt, because I don't want to automatically judge a book by its cover. One of them, known as Meggy, I think it's how you spell it. It's Meggi. Basically, she rarely streams, but like, she was so hyped about the Final Fantasy VII remake. She cross-dressed as Tifa Lockhart, which is one of the main protagonists, and is one of my personal favourite characters in gaming history. I love Tifa Lockhart in the original Final Fantasy VII, at least. And I love the fact that she was dressed as Tifa Lockhart, played about halfway through the game on her Twitch, and then halfway through it, she was like, guys, I'll be right back. I can't wear this anymore. And then she came back in this onesie. There was nothing revealing about it. There was nothing truly sexual about it. I think, yeah, she even took her makeup off. Half the stream, fucked off because of that. And I found that disgusting. Because the fact that, yeah, because the fact is they were only there for a bit of tatty. And she was generally good at the game. She was generally, like, enjoying it, having a good time. She was generally talking, generally being a human being.
Yep.
You know, shocking. And the fact is, I still stayed there while she was doing, like, and she did, and she finished off, like, congratulating for another 2 hours, and yeah, and she finished. And the fact of the matter is, like, I watch people for their personality. I don't care if you got double D's and those shoved up into the camera. I don't care about that. If anything, that just shows that you're desperate. I know that a lot of people say, if you got it, flaunt it. That's fine. But at the same time, if you know that that's the only gimmick and your personality is literally like a cracked egg,
these comparisons are amazing.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow it, but it's very difficult. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, like, if you've got a personality that literally is practically a Barbie doll, because I watched one. Apparently, this was recommended to me, and I was like,
for science.
Shut up. So, like, and I watched it, and there's literally this woman going, "What are you guys talking about? What do you mean? Like, I need to pull my camera down? I don't know what you're talking about." Like, literally playing it. Yeah. So I don't know if she was actually thick, or the fact that you know, it was the fact is, like, you know.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was actually thick.
Or she was actually just like actually being intelligent and manipulating, and like, whatever. The fact of the matter is, like, why do people watch that? You do realize there is porn, yeah? Free porn on the internet. Free nasty porn on the internet, right?
Where is this going? I'd like to know.
Please. Carry on.
I'm just telling you, porn's free.
Starts listing off his favourite sites.
Yeah.
Number 1, X videos. Next question. Anyway, so
what the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
So, like, I'm just saying to you, don't subscribe to people that have no personality and they just use their body to get results. Actually, put a subscription when someone actually has a personality. And, like, even if they don't have it, like, because one person I follow, who's a DBD streamer, I don't think he's ever revealed his face, but he mains Demogorgon on Dead by Daylight. He plays other, like he plays all the killers, but he truly mains Demogorgon, and it's actually entertaining to watch him. I've never seen his face
Spicy
before.
sunflower. Just had to tell everyone it's a spicy sunflower. It's not the Demogorgon.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I'm politically incorrect.
Yep. Spicy sunflower all the way.
So the spicy sunflower, yeah, and he mains them, and he does a really good job, and it's really entertaining because, like, obviously the reason why people would watch that, even if he doesn't have a face cam, is because Demogorgon is not the strongest killer in the game. He's pretty much like the most balanced killer in the game, but he's not strong by any means. He's literally like in the middle between good and meh. Like he's at the heart of that. But people watch that because there's not like many Demogorgon mains out there. So obviously you're going to be attracted to that. And I personally enjoy him playing Demogorgon because he plays it so well. And it made me want to play Demogorgon well. And I generally do enjoy playing Demogorgon because he's not a killer that's hard. But you need to know when to use the right thing at the right time with him. You need to be at least somewhat calculated. And I love that. But I don't think he's ever had a face cam. And I think he has a lot of people behind him. I think he's over 20,000 followers on Twitch. I believe. I could be wrong on that. But that's the thing. People like that are so good at what they do, and you don't feel like they try hard, but I feel like when you play Dead by Daylight on PC or console, you need to have some form of consistency of level-headedness, and
very strategic.
Yeah, exactly, and that can be quite difficult for a few people. I mean, sometimes, well, and myself, to be fair, Jazz, like sometimes I have that mentality, and sometimes I think I had that mentality, but I'm solely disappointed after like 3 games when I'm feeling like I don't have any hair anymore, but I could find a way to rip it out still. And it's like, and that's the thing, that's how it goes. And the fact is that they're so good and it's so entertaining. And I feel like when people have like, if we're going back on the autism thing, it's a much harder because you think, are you good enough? And I can tell you right now, I can tell you right now, one of my moderators, Mark, if you're listening, I hope you are, I couldn't be more proud of a person I could look up to due to the fact that even though that you have autism, you still do a terrific job of streaming because you are just who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't care. So if you listen to this, buddy, keep going because
shout out to Mr. Wood 1990.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. Wood, Mr. 1990. He's absolutely inspiring, in my opinion. And the fact is that one time he was on my stream and he said, "Mike, can I adopt you?" And I said, "Yeah, why as? I'm just like, as my brother." I was like, "Hell yeah, man! You can adopt me all you like. Send me the papers." Yeah, like he's not only a fantastic mod, but he's a fantastic friend. So shout out to Mr. Wood.
He is.
Yeah, so.
And one thing with Mark as well, like I'd like to add to that is no matter what, like he does stream himself, but he is always in everyone's stream. Like there's never a stream where Mark's not popped up and said hi. And you know it's Mark because you always get the hello ladies.
Yeah.
So go drop him a sexy follow on his Twitch.
Yeah.
So not only check out JazzyBeeee123, but do also check out Mr. Wood.
I'll put his link in the description as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I couldn't ask for a better mod. He's like, sometimes he gets confused, but like sometimes when I'm moderating, I get confused. I'm like, what? What are you asking me? I'm just here for the popcorn. What the fuck? What are you on about? So like, yeah. So it's just nice, and the best thing is like that just clearly shows. Like my cousin Kai, for example, he's also quite severely autistic. I don't think I've ever told this story actually.
Hope you got 40 minutes, Jazz. It's going to be a long fucking story.
It's not going to be that long. Calm down. So basically, I can remember being in a coffee shop with my cousin Kai, and he said he saved enough money to go to Australia, and he's been saving it for about 4 years at this point. And I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And he goes, "Yeah, I've never been so sure about something ever." And it had like, if you had a chat with Kai, my cousin, he's probably the most kindest human being ever. But you could tell that there's something there, I guess, without being rude. So he went to Australia. He became a banana picker for a year, maybe a year and a half. Made friends there, and I remember one of the most funniest things that ever happened. It was about 12. It was midday, so about 12. Okay, a random call from him, and the phone immediately when he started talking, I knew he was drunk. And he was just like, I'm in my hostel, and I'm all with all these Aussie people, and they're really nice, but they're very loud. And I'm not. Should I tell them I'm from the UK? And I'm like, what do you mean? It was like, oh, you know what people think about UK people? You're like, well, posh and polite and stuff. I'm just, I literally had to move the phone away from me because I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, Kai, just be you, man. Just be you. That's never stopped you before. Just be you, man. Just be you. And he goes, "Oh, thanks, man. I've had a few drinks with them. Really nice, but they're really loud. Like they're really loud. Like that's what most Australians are like, mate. I'm pretty sure you know about that from your job." I'm just like, yeah, but it's just like, should I be a part of the lads, or should I should I just tell them I'm from the UK and I prefer other things? I'm just like, I'm really sure if you preferred a cup of tea to a fucking like a banana. I don't know. I was just like,
where is this story going?
I'm just saying. So,
welcome to Mr. O Sidetrack again. Like, fuck me.
People like
fucking bananas in Australia. What is this conversation? Oh my god.
People like my side stories.
I have to reel him back in because he just fucks off somewhere else entirely.
All right, can I quickly just say this? Like, quickly say, if you guys like my little side stories, just put in the put in the comment section. You like Mr. O's side stories, all right? Don't listen to this prick, all right?
So to summarise, my cousin went to Australia.
Oh my god!
And then he got pissed. And
yeah,
fuck me.
Oh,
and then I led him to the confidence just to be himself, and he goes, "Oh, thanks, Mike. It's great. Like, it's a really great place at this hostel and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, no problem, man. I'll hope to see you soon, and like you too." And then the best part was he stayed there for an extra year. Then he moved to Japan. Then he moved to Vietnam, and then he moved to like a couple of other countries.
Where's this going?
Can you just let me finish?
It goes on like half an hour.
Just let me finish. Just let me finish.
Oh my
I was
god.
about to literally finish in your face. Anyway.
Oh my.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, more of the story is even though he's very autistic, he has accomplished so much more than what most of my family have done, and I don't suffer from anything like that. That was the moral of my story.
That could have been about 5 minutes. That conversation.
I'm putting in the funny parts.
Okay, I'm not deaf. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Jazzy, in your experience, what would you say in terms of like people knowing and accepting and understanding? What would you say was your most happiest moment when people not only just accepted, but like just like in the terms of like autism related, what would you say was your most like positive moment?
I would obviously I struggle more with the social side of things.
Yes.
Like I've said throughout this. So when I meet like a new group of friends, such as like when Jess introduced me to like Adam and like all the Unity side of things, it really helped that obviously I went in no one knowing that I had autism, and I was just openly accepted. And then one day when I did mention that I had it, it wasn't even like a question. It wasn't even a topic of thing. And it sounds bad saying it was brushed aside, but it was like it didn't matter. So just knowing that I was accepted, and even though I then told everyone that I had autism, it just didn't matter. I was still me, and they still accepted it for me. So people that are so accepting is really, really nice, and that's definitely one of the positives of having autism, is being accepted for just being me.
And then she went and got a banana.
Yeah,
and then,
I put it in the blender and I had a smoothie. But
Tanya,
then I went to Japan.
Simply turn your mic off. She was going good with this. All right, carry on.
Oh God.
well,
it is nice though. The fact is that like even though that we've had like experiences that are to an extent a negative concept, that we've all had some form of positivity out of it. I mean, when I was like introduced to Unity, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. Like, you handle yourself extremely well in situations, especially the fact that you're an admin and you know that, and the same with Jess as well. You guys have the responsibility, and you do it really well. So no matter what, I will always see you guys as someone that knows what they're doing and assesses the situation to a fairly degree. So take that with like consideration that you're doing a better job than Simply. So it's great.
just shitting on me now because I didn't like his banana story.
I mean, like you say with Unity and the admin side of things, it's more behind the scenes things that I do. Like obviously I do sort of handle situations as and well when they need to be, like as well as Jess and like Grog and Abandoned Poet, Nathan, as you all know. We're all admins, and obviously Adam as well. We all sort of group together and handle it in a way that we all see fit, that's fair and just for everyone. But my side of things is more like the technical things behind the scenes, like sorting out bots, doing like auto posts, that sort of stuff. That's my grounds. I love doing that sort of stuff. So like for instance, if we need new emotes, I'm the person that everyone comes to. If we need something changing on Me6, I'm the person that like people come to, because I like doing that sort of things and I can do it in a breeze. So I'm sort of more the technical person at the back rather than the person that's jumping into sort of out in the public eye.
Yeah, and it's great because like
a nerd, really.
well, true, but like at the same.
Fucking hell.
But the great thing is though, that's like you are 100% committed. For someone that's only like gave you nothing but care, and I know that like Simply has gone through a process before in the past, but like it's actually nice for him. Like I even remember having a conversation with him when it was a very low point, and like I said Jess and Jazz. I didn't I say I said Jess and Jazz will be people that you can trust, and like you already knew that anyway. I just said it out loud.
He's just trying to make himself look good again. Go back to your banana story.
So anyway, he got this massive one, 10 inches. Swear to God.
Called it day.
Yeah, called it. Well, I think it was Barbara for some weird reason, but like anyway.
Fucking hell. Anyway, Discord, yeah. Shit.
But I'm so glad that like, when we had that conversation, because like Simply was at a low point, and the fact is that it's grown again and it's become bigger and better than ever. And I'm so glad that you're a part of it, and the same with Jess as well. And the same with all of the gang, really, in a sense. Like, at the end of the day, like, you've never came off across as dismissive or neglected.
Entitled.
Yeah. Or neglective to a certain degree. So you're doing a grand job there. And the fact of the matter is, if you're enjoying it, that's just a bonus, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah,
absolutely love it.
yeah.
I do want to say I've just remembered I completely forgot that Ron is also an admin, so I do apologise if you're listening wrong. I completely forgot you.
I didn't forget Ron.
But I love Ron anyway. But he is
Failed!
also another
She's
one.
failed again!
I failed as a friend.
But
Oh God.
and the fact that you've put that much effort, and despite that, whatever doubts you might have because of like the autistic nature or anything to that degree, it just shows that, like you said earlier, it's not. I wouldn't say it's. I know this sounds kind of cringy. I wouldn't say it's a disability to a certain extent. You're just good, or maybe even superior to one aspect rather than another. A couple of things in life.
Yeah.
And that's how I perceive autism. You excel at much other things other than other things, and I see that in my dyspraxia and my dyslexia as well. I can hold a conversation the same as simply for ages, but if I had to put that in writing, then prepare to
Exactly. Yeah. That's very true.
Prepare to see that in chicken scratch.
Yeah.
In very much detail. You know.
Okay. Just a little
But it's and sometimes it pisses me off because, like, as you were saying, you know, when you're tidying and you talk to yourself.
Yeah.
I do that, but in a different way. This is
naked.
True, but
okay. Moving on.
Doing this heat, fuck me.
Yeah. I have a very active imagination, so I talk out some scenes that I've created in my own head of my own fictional stories. Have you guys ever done that?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time.
No.
I'm actually
well,
interested.
I think this is 2-1, so you're not the normal one.
Yeah.
Simply.
I prefer the banana story. Let's go back to that one.
All right. Okay. I may cross a bridge here, Jazzy, but do you? What have been the fictional stories in your head, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it's just anything, like any random scenario. It could be something I thought of, something I want to do, and I'll make up story. Like, say, for instance, I wanted to travel. I would make up a scenario in which I would do that thing, and then almost not act upon it, but like almost act it out, but like myself as all the different characters. It's weird, but it's definitely something I always do, and I find more often than not as well, if I'm struggling to fall asleep, I'll try and think of, so for instance, if I want to dream about a particular thing, I try, it's weird, I try and almost control that dream by acting something out, just laid there. I'm not doing anything, but there has been times where I've got so into doing it that I'll actually wake myself up doing it.
Oh yeah, I 100% same. 100% same. Honestly, to be fair, like in this heat, for example, I've woke up at like at 6:30 in the morning, and like I was having this great like image of me controlling my dream to a certain extent.
Yeah.
About 50%. And I'm just like, I want to go back to sleep because like I was enjoying this creation I've made. And then the next thing I know, I wake up at like 10:30. I'm just like, I want to go back to sleep again, but I know that's just immoral at this point.
Yeah. It's when you get those good dreams and you're like, I really wish I hadn't been woken up.
It's like there's this one time with Simply, and it was covered in banana and peanut butter.
Take me back to the banana farm.
And it wasn't.
as well as I find it's I like how I've gone from talking about autism to dreaming, but I find that with dreams as well, you'll have a dream, and when you get woken up and you're still in that sort of that stage where you're still waking up, and like for instance, if I'm like I go and pick my younger sister up in like every other day. Obviously, at the moment I'm not, but when I would go pick my sister up, my mum would wake me up in the morning so I could go and get the bus to where my dad lives, and I remember vividly several times where she's woke me up and the dream is still going on. So for instance, for example, like last week, I was having a dream where I played a lot of GTA so much that I was in a GTA race, and my mum asked me later on that day what I meant when she woke me up, and I said I've almost finished.
Yeah, I did. That happens a lot.
Yeah. I mean, there's several times where I'm still half asleep. There's no dream, and I've told my mum angrily to fuck off, but that's because I'm still half asleep. And then I'll talk to her later, and she's like, "You told me to fuck off this morning." I was like, "Did I?"
I have that if I fall asleep on kind of night, if like watching telly, especially with this heat, I've been very tired.
Yeah.
And I've woke up and I thought it was the morning. Have you ever done that where you think it's especially if you've got like work or something the next day? And I check my phone, I quickly grab my phone and think, oh, it's 7 o'clock. Oh shit, 7 o'clock. I've got to take the daughter to school. And it's like 7 o'clock at night and I'm freaking out and I'm rushing around and I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot, and I just sit back down again.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
I think the worst one is when you're like extremely tired and you fall asleep so early. I've done that so many times where I fall asleep at like 9 o'clock. And the next thing you know, you're waking up and you're thinking, oh my God, it's like 6 a.m. And you look at the clock and it's like, it's 2 a.m. You're like, how the hell am I going to sleep now? Like you wake up and you're wide awake. And then like you get to like you're like, oh yeah, I'm wide awake. I can do the rest of the day. You get to like 6 a.m. and you're like, I really want to go back to sleep. But you know you can't.
Yeah, that does happen. It's very weird, the whole...
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those times when you wake up like only an hour before and you're just like, oh, I can do an extra half an hour. You're fine.
Oh, mate, every day of my life.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, you're like an hour and a half behind. You're like, what? No, what?
Wait, I have... So I'm very much a night owl and I hate mornings. So I have to have 3 alarms so we're not like going to school, because I just won't get out of bed otherwise. If there's not, and I have the alarm next to my head, otherwise I'm not going to get up. I get up at 7, and then there's what is I want at 6:30, 7:30, and 7:30 my alarm, and it's like I have to get up for that third one because I just snooze it every time. I'm terrible. Otherwise we'd be like every day. It's horrible. I'm so bad at it.
I'm so lucky that I still live with my mum, because if I didn't, I would be I wouldn't wake up in time. And I think that's another thing to do with my autism. I've got a lack of hormone in my brain, so like I don't sleep. I could go like 3 nights with no sleep because my brain doesn't produce that hormone, like the melatonin hormone, to go to sleep. So I can't detect that I'm tired unless I'm like extremely tired. So I do take hormone pills for that. But it's like if I hate taking tablets anyway, so if I forget to take that, I'll go like a day with no sleep. But once I'm asleep, people that as soon as I'm gone, you're not getting me up. I will not wake up for anything at all, which is a hindrance.
I always back to that bloody banana.
Unless it's a banana, then you're gonna get me up.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder as well.
Trip to the banana farm, hell fucking yeah!
High five. There we go. Anyway,
I caught it.
Go on, Jazzy, join us. Go on. Yeah. Oh my God.
Fail.
That was a fail. I'll try again. Hey!
It's like a COVID high five across fucking Destiny.
That was
virtual high five.
I felt like that was more of a punch in my headset end, but
yeah.
Let me go wake my mum up. What?
That was a nerves high five, but we appreciate it.
You are absolutely welcome.
I must say it is so, especially with the summer coming at the moment here, and like you wake up and you think, man, I must be right at the right time. I've woke up at 10:30. It's fine. And then you realise it's like 5 o'clock in the morning and the sun's already up. And you just look at it and you think to yourself, this is not even humanly possible. You should still be in the darkness. Like, how is light at 5 a.m.? And
I
it's
think the worst
crazy.
one is like British summer. Obviously, it's nice. We enjoy getting the sun, but when it's like this, like it is now, where it's like constant,
It's unbearable, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
And it's like, I mean, it must have been Tuesday, we had a storm. Like, we had storms here where I live, and you would think a storm would break that heat, but nothing. Is still so humid. Like, I don't mind a bit of sun and a bit of summer when there's a breeze with it, or when we get a break at night time. But like, I'm guaranteed that the power of Britain right now is being used on like fans, because it's so hot.
Yeah, it's mad. Trying to get to sleep as well when you feel sweaty is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's
You
so
feel like
uncomfortable.
you're just stuck to everything.
Especially when you wake up to such a natural way, like you just naturally wake up, and it's not at that moment in time. It's not because of the heat or anything. It's just like you just naturally woke up, and you hate it even more because when you try and go back and retain how you fell asleep in the first place, or how you try to get into that
State of sleepness, yeah.
that routine, and it becomes almost impossible. So you're just there, like the next thing you know, you spent 2 hours literally with your eyes closed, and then out of all of it, you got an extra 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God, it's just so painful.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Screw the heat.
Yeah.
And I think we can say that anyone that lives in Great Britain and Ireland right now feels sorry for us. We do, because this is just, it's mental.
It is. Like, I saw a post the other day, it was like 30 degrees in like different countries. It's 30 degrees, but like 30 degrees in the UK is like crawling into the pits of fucking Satan's armpits. It's awful. It's
What
so
a saying.
hot. I know, right? Like, crawling into the depths of Satan's armpits. It's amazing. But it definitely describes how we're feeling.
Yeah, that's mad. I've never heard that before.
Satan's
armpits.
I'm definitely gonna put that in my thing.
It's going in the quote book. That is in the Discord.
Oh,
But
brilliant.
I think we'll leave it on Satan's armpits because I've just realised we've gone over 2 hours. And
Oh, Jesus.
yeah, and it is like late.
Yeah.
So all of Jazz's socials will be in the description as always, as long as mine and Mr. O's. Go drop us a follow and all the stuff. If you want to come join either of the Discords, those will both be linked there as well. Thank you for coming on the show, Jazz. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Please go drop her a follow on her Twitch. She streams. What days was it, Jazz? Do you want to remind people?
Tuesday, Friday, Saturdays, around 7 to 8 p.m.
BTST. BST? I can't. BTS. I don't know. Well, it's technically British summertime now, isn't it? Not. Anyway.
Yeah,
but yeah,
GMT.
so yeah,
7
GMT.
to 8 p.m. GMT. Tuesday, Friday, Saturday.
So yeah, go check her out on there.
And on the note of whoever is watching that does suffer from autism or any variant from it, and the anxiety and depression value, feel free to just tell us in the comments how you feel, what you thought about this podcast. Do you think that you can do you think we did like a decent job of understanding? Like, obviously we didn't cover 100% everything, which is understandable, but the fact is, like, your feedback is greatly appreciated. And obviously do hit that like button as well. And like, we've met, like, obviously I've been doing this for a long time, and so Sympathy and Jazzy as well. We've always appreciate from people that have walked any ways of life. Just tell us how you feel. Tell us if you understand what we've talked about during this podcast, because that's important to us. Because at the end of the day, we know it's difficult and it's not easy. But on the plus side, look at it this way: fuck being normal, it's boring. So, look at it that way. Like, it's all good here.
And if you would like to be a guest on the next show, let us know, either in the YouTube section, or you can join one of the Discords and let us know there, or over any of the links of the social medias, because we'd love to have new guests on, such as Jazz. So feel free to let us know. So thank you for listening. I've been Simply, he's been
Opinionated.